Oh,
Happy Monday.
I feel like I
Gotta
just talked to
love
you a few
start to
minutes
the
ago.
week.
It's
Great
like I
to
just
see you
talked to you a few
guys.
minutes ago.
Yeah, let's do it again, shall we?
I think we shall. We shall. It's going to be a good day today. Let's start off by getting a look at your weather. A nice day across Chicagoland today. You might see a passing cloud out there, but really blue skies are going to dominate much of the day. Look at that picture of downtown Grant Park. Chicago looks gorgeous today. Just look at it from the camera. Don't look at it from outside because you shouldn't be around a bunch of people. Anyway, we're looking at nice temperatures I mentioned today. We're going to get to a high of about 78 degrees. That sunshine should stick around all day today. And then we've got a couple of these days in a row. We got a couple of really nice days in a row before the storms hit, unfortunately, on the weekend this time. And look at the temperatures increasing as we get closer to the weekend. Nice day again tomorrow, a little bit warmer, 85 degrees will be your high on Tuesday. On Wednesday, up to 89. It's going to be warm, but a gorgeous day out there. Again, just maybe a cloud or two in the sky. Thursday, you see the temperature rising and you'll feel the humidity significantly rising on Thursday. Friday, we're going to have another hot day, more cloud cover on Friday, 92 degrees, possible storms overnight hours, not during the day, we don't think just yet, but overnight. And then Saturday and Sunday, we cool off a little bit, but we've got scattered showers and thunderstorms both days. Sunday, we go cloudy later on in the evening, but then more showers and thunderstorms pop up overnight. It looks like into the work week next week, we're going to see those showers and thunderstorms continuing. But as of Friday night into Saturday, that'll be the first chance of some rain that we'll see, some real measurable rainfall, at least in like 10 days. So we've had some really nice stretch of weather we've had. So you knew at some point it had to come to an end. We need a little bit of rain out there. So enjoy the beautiful days while we got them, because things always change in Chicago.
If you're doing your weekend planning, have your umbrella ready. Thank you, Amy, for that. I want to update you guys about some breaking news, a moment to celebrate, really, for everyone in the country, America, and LGBT Americans. The Supreme Court has ruled that employers cannot fire individuals for being LGBTQ. This is a huge win for gay rights. The ruling came down because they said it violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. It was a 6-3 ruling. It's a really complicated law. That's why they've kind of dug into this. It contains a broad prohibition on discriminating because of sex. And that means that anytime sex, as defined in biological terms, is part of the reason for a hiring or firing decision, that decision has been deemed illegal. Now, this is important because more than half the US states don't cover sexual orientation and gender identity through their own anti-discrimination laws, which leaves some really dangerous loopholes. So now this landmark Supreme Court decision means you can't be fired because of who you love, which is great.
It's good. Laws
are
important. News. It helps set the standard for how we operate, how we live our lives, and not to mention, obviously, the legal implications of it all.
But at a time where we're seeing so much unrest because of civil rights, it's good to see the country moving forward. At least in one area, it gives you hope that maybe we'll be moving forward in the not too distant future in other areas as well, right?
No.
Yeah, I love how clearly this was decided too. It was actually a conservative justice, Neil Gorsuch, came in and said that an individual's homosexuality or transgender status is not relevant to employment decisions. 6-3 decision there. So definitely a reason to celebrate for this country. And more work to be done for sure, but it's progress.
Right. Yes. Progress is what we want to see, pushing us forward, moving us forward. Now let's welcome in our first guest of the day. We're super excited for that. Janine Tornatore. She is from the Outside Insider, and she gives us everything that we need to know for travel, for lifestyle, things to upgrade our lives. Janine, how's it going?
I'm great. Thanks.
Thanks for being here. So let's break it down. How are you? When will you be traveling, and how are you reading the landscape right now?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a little bit of a different landscape this summer. I'm planning some road trips with my family, which is the general sentiment, I think, is that most people are staying close to home. They're looking at road trips, and they're looking at those wide open spaces where they can more naturally social distance. So I think you're going to see a lot of regional travel, a lot of people hopping in the cars and looking for those state parks, those national parks, those natural preserves where they can explore the outdoors.
About time that we got outside and enjoyed what's around us. And like you said, yeah, there's a lot of things that people can see in the not so distant area. My thought was, is there going to be any hiccups if you're on the road, booking hotels, making stops, rest stops, all that kind of thing?
Well, my biggest piece of advice is that this summer, more than ever before, you need to plan in advance. Road trips have always been that kind of trip where you do kind of fly by the seat of your pants, where you can be more spontaneous, hop in the car, pull over here, stop there, wherever you want. Not this year. In fact, I can tell you, I just traveled with my family last week across Illinois into Missouri, and we had to plan out where we were stopping even for those bathroom breaks because, fast food restaurants, only the drive-throughs in many cases are open. You can't go in. So you really do need to think about even those small logistical things in advance. And it doesn't just go for road trips. Look, if you're going to get on an airplane, you're thinking, Walt Disney World opens up in mid-July. I want to head to some of these major theme parks and attractions. They may be open, but number one, they're going to have limitations on the number of visitors. And number two, many of them are taking reservations only. So gone are the days this summer where you can just walk up to the ticket window, purchase your ticket, and walk in. You really have to think, weeks, maybe even months out for some of these bigger attractions. When do I want to go, and are reservations available?
And I've actually got a trip booked, my first trip in this COVID era for July, and I'm a little scared and concerned. It's going to be air travel. What does air travel look like right now in this era?
Well, I can tell you when you're heading to the airport, you're going to see a lot less contact. So when you're heading up to the kiosks or the TSA lines, there's going to be less contact with those agents. They're not only trying to keep passengers safe, they're trying to keep their employees safe as well. And it really, when you're boarding a plane, it's going to vary a lot by carrier, although you will see a lot of the same standard protocols in place. Masks, social distancing as much as they can on the plane, and they're all doing huge steps in terms of sanitization on the planes in between flights. Even some airlines are starting to do temperature checks. So the big takeaway here is that if this is something that may concern you, you want to check with your airline, or even before you book, check to see what the different airline policies are so that you're comfortable with the airline carrier that you're planning to fly.
It's probably a good idea to have that traveler's insurance too on those tickets with those temperature checks and stuff too, right?
Absolutely. I think, the more that you can do to protect yourself as a traveler right now, in case you may need to cancel or you're not comfortable getting on the plane, the better. The good news is that on the hotel side, and even some airlines still, their cancellation and refund policies can be fairly flexible. Again, that varies by carrier, by brand. So you'll want to check with that before you do book. But hotels, major brands like Marriott, they're offering 24-hour cancellations still at properties worldwide. So, I think when you're booking with some of these major brands, there is that bit of consistency that you can expect, not just in their cancellation policies, but in their standards as well. On the hotel side, I think you're going to see a lot of changes as well that will make travelers more comfortable with going. I mentioned Marriott. They are already ahead of the game when it comes to a little bit more of a touchless scenario. So they offer really a high-tech, low-touch offering. They have mobile check-in, so you can check in right on your phone before you even arrive at your hotel. You have keyless entry where you use your mobile device as your key to your hotel room. So those types of implementations, I think, are really meant to help people feel comfortable and more social distance at their properties.
Brandon had mentioned travel insurance, but don't people need to be careful about the travel insurance when it comes to COVID?
Yes, that is a great question. In fact, travel policies are really not changing, but you do need to read the fine print when it comes to traveling in this new COVID area, because this is a known issue now. It's often not covered in most most travel insurance policies. I always tell people, even before this, make sure that you're reading the fine print and you're knowing exactly what that policy covers. In this era, the one policy that most people can feel comfortable with are ones that are considered, that they cover everything. Those are obviously the insurance policies that come at a major premium in terms of cost. But I would recommend, even before you go the insurance route, is checking with who you're going to book with. A lot of tour operators, a lot of these travel brands offer such flexible cancellation policies now that you might not feel you need the insurance. You want to check with them. And if it's a 24-hour cancellation policy, that may be all you need to feel comfortable.
Because I'm curious as to whether or not we should be, it seems smart to wait to pay now for a trip that you might take next week. I mean, sorry, not next week. I meant to say next year.
Well, you know,
I think I should take advantage of all these cheap prices.
well, and that's exactly what so many people are wondering right now. You know, for the last couple of months, there have been incredible travel deals out there, not just for this summer, but for January and February of 2021. You know, cruise lines are actually seeing an uptick in bookings for January and February because the deals are so incredible that people don't care really if they have to cancel because the deals are so good. But one of the things that is helping people feel comfortable with booking that far out is that the refund policies are very liberal, very flexible, even with the cruise lines where you're able to cancel, you know, 1 or 2 weeks before your cruise. So again, check the policies of each individual supplier that you may be booking with. But a lot of these incredible deals are out there. And for the most part, a lot of them allow you very flexible changes and cancellations.
Also for staying in hotels versus Airbnbs, what do you think would be the best?
Well, I'll tell you what the big difference is. It is that if you're going to stay at a major hotel chain like a Marriott, you can feel comfortable that they're fantastic sanitation standards. In fact, they're using hospital grade sanitation standards in their hotel rooms, that's going to be something that's implemented across the entire brand and that there is a consistent standard. When you're staying at an Airbnb, you know, they have done a great job of recommending guidelines for all of their property owners to use. But they can't guarantee that those property owners are going to follow those specific guidelines. So that is really kind of the big difference with staying with a major hotel chain versus individual owners of some of these Airbnb and home rental properties.
All right. Now I have the $1 million question. If I'm going to take my risk and I'm going to get on a plane, am I going to be able to get my cocktail?
Bring your own.
Exactly. The one major change you're going to see whether, you know, well, for airlines specifically, most of them are not offering the snack service or the drink service now just for sanitation reasons. So you likely won't see that on planes, at least for, you know, the short time being. One question I've gotten a lot about hotels too is a lot of people like to go stay at these Residence Inn or Fairfield Inn and Suites because, you know, they're like, hey, I get the free breakfast with it. You know, you will still get some of these amenities in hotels. You'll still get the free breakfast. It may just look a little different. You're not going to see the buffet style breakfast anymore. It's going to look more like a grab and go situation where you can get a drink and get a boxed meal or fruit or snack or those types of things to take with you. So some of these amenities you'll still have, they'll just look a little different. I would also mention that if you are planning on going to stay in a hotel this summer, to my point about planning ahead, call ahead to your hotel and check with them about what amenities are open in their hotels. Is the pool going to be open? Are their fitness facilities going to be open? Those types of more social areas of the hotel. You want to make sure that you understand, you know, what your expectations are going to be when you arrive. So call ahead to the specific property and make sure that you're well aware. If you're going to a hotel for a pool, you want to make sure it's open.
That's wonderful advice. Can you imagine paying all that money and then being disappointed like that?
Oh. I can't imagine paying all that money for a ticket and not getting my cocktail and my peanuts.
That's why you drink before you head to the airport.
Good point, Brandon. I knew you'd do it.
I love it. Janine, always with the best tips.
Yep.
Thanks for having me. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. We'll get all your information here up on the screen. If folks want to reach out to you to get some more information, check out the blog, theoutsideinsider.com on Instagram as well. Janine, so thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't wait to start traveling again. Wouldn't
I
be wonderful.
know.
I mean, we've got a road trip planned. We do this every year, and it's just with family up to Wisconsin, like the far northern Wisconsin, which that's even exciting, but it's not the same thing, you know?
Yeah, especially you had that huge trip booked to Cabo with everybody. So I know, rest in peace to that.
And how that changes with planning meals and rest stops and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Hey, thank goodness 2/3 of my group can poop their pants. They don't have to stop.
That'll work.
Yeah.
All right, guys, want to mention here, Chicago Food to Go. Great opportunity for you to support the local restaurants you love with CW26. You can share your support of local restaurants by tagging the takeout video experiences you have with Chicago Food to Go and at CW26 Chicago. When you're taking that video, though, please make sure it's horizontal. Say your name, say who you're supporting, why, include the name of the restaurant, the neighborhood or suburb that it's in, and explain if you did curbside pickup or delivery. And once again, that hashtag is Chicago Food to Go. We have our special airing Saturday and Sundays on CW26. And it's a lot of fun. John does a great job with that. And we just love being able to spotlight all these great local businesses doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I made you pivot from poop to food to go, Brandon.
Poop? Yeah, right.
Tough pivot there.
We'll erase it out of their heads, right?
Yeah, you did fine. That was great.
All right, next up, this is the one I'm really excited about. Colette Gunham and Ashley O'Shea, they're with Maze Club Media Collective. It's a hub for independent women and non-binary filmmakers, a support group in a sense, and a group that does a lot for getting more of these filmmakers employed and getting resources for them. So we're going to welcome them to the show right now. Good morning, ladies.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good
morning.
Doing well. So, when it comes to diversity in film, there's been progress, but there's still a lot of work to be done, right? I'm sure you guys would agree.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about the work of Mezcla Collective and how you guys are pushing that.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. We're super excited to be on the jam with you all. My name is Colette, and I'm the co-founder of Mezcla Media Collective. And we started it back in 2017 to really create a central hub for women of color in film in Chicago and to really balance the field in the industry and how it's very difficult to gain access and opportunities. So being able to have a space for us to build community, but also advance skills and access to.
I imagine that this is one of those niche areas that is so unknown to some people. I'm finding jobs, getting in different projects has got to be really hard unless you know people, that having that place to go to help connect people is a huge opportunity for people.
Colette's like, you speak. No, absolutely. So I'm Ashley O'Shea, and I have the pleasure of being in the Mezcla leadership circle. And I've been working with Mezcla pretty much since the inception. And I primarily work as a cinematographer here in Chicago. So having that space, that community to build with other Black and brown filmmakers and filmmakers of women of color in general is indispensable. And after years and years, we've really come to build relationships with one another.
So
I love it.
Also have this. Go ahead, Amy.
No, go ahead, please.
Okay, you guys also have this COVID relief crowdfunding campaign. You're trying to raise $15,000. Who is that going to go to?
So it's going to all the members that have been directly impacted by COVID, especially since many of our members are already coming from the most vulnerable communities. They need support in order to still be able to create their work that's desperately needed during this time too, to be able to share our stories. So all of it is going as $500 micro grants towards the members themselves.
I would imagine, your industry was largely shut down when this happened, and it's going to take the longest really to get back up and running because these sets and all these productions have so many people in such tight quarters. What kind of positions are we talking about? Grips, audio, photographers? I know, Ashley, you mentioned you were a photographer. What other positions are these women working in?
It's a range, We have a lot of screenwriters and directors and producers in our collective. In large part, a lot of folks are working on independent productions, which of course were also affected by the pandemic. And a large part of what we try to do with Mezcla as well is to help people bridge into these larger possible union positions. Last year we held like a DP retreat for women of color at Keslow Camera. And so we're working in that vein as well to help people build up skills that want to work in these below the line like production positions. But a lot of folks are writing right now and directing, but have jobs they've been furloughed from or laid off from, and so they need that support.
I think too many people don't realize is that, in production too, there are a lot of unions, but there are also a lot of non-union jobs. And those people are the ones that are typically the lowest paid and probably need this the most.
Absolutely. I'm one of them.
It seems like a really tight-knit community from what I'm seeing. How are you able to keep that sense of community going when you're socially distanced?
Well, the great thing about Mezcla is that we started out through virtually, like having a very robust Facebook group. That's where we post all jobs, all opportunities, internships, and then events and other ways to like collaborate with one another. So we've switched everything to virtual programming, and we've been able to like continue being in community with one another, even though we are socially distant as well. So that's been, personally, it's been wonderful to have that community while we're like all isolated together as well.
Let me get your.
That makes sense. As far as making sure you have diversity and inclusion in this particular industry, why would you feel that that is still so important, particularly at this time?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're seeing a lot of unrest and uprising around the country, and so I'm working on a personal project that focuses on women of color community organizers, on Black women community organizers, and so I've been very tapped into this current moment of unrest that's happening in Chicago and the nation, and so it's important that in this moment that we are allowing those closest to the issues to tell their stories, that we're handing the tools to Black people and people of color to be able to document this moment, because I find those stories to be the most authentic, and it's what's given me a lot of solace as I worked on my film Unapologetic in this time.
Ashley, do you find too that because of everything that's going on in this world, people are more comfortable telling their stories, whereas before they were like, I don't know how much I want to put out there?
I mean, I think people just have a lot more time. Like, I think this pandemic has really called people to kind of just internally like investigate what they want to do and the work that they want coming out. And I think people just, it's not the normal 9-to-5 situation right now. Like, folks you can't look away. And so people are being creative in their approaches and creative in the stories that they want to tell, and realizing even if you don't have a $15,000 camera, that you have tools, you may know someone, there's other ways you can volunteer, and they just have the space to finally be able to explore their stories.
And I'm sure a lot of what you guys are doing too is connecting, with people on things outside of just what they know how to do when it comes to filmmaking, but also like gaining capital, the business end, pitching to production companies and things like that.
Yeah, it's something that we often don't think about. Like, okay, the first step is just making the film, and then it's like, oh my God, how do we get money to do this, and how do we sell it? So really being able to like tap into those networks is key. We've had fundraising workshops, and we also had we're going to have a Kickstarter webinar with Kickstarter to like learn about crowdfunding as an opportunity as well. So yeah, it's very important to be able to sustain yourself, to be able to get the money to make your career work.
Yeah, the distribution side of it all. That makes sense. I mean, because I'm also thinking, how a lot of our children and young people are always pursuing those jobs in front of the camera, and how important it is to have those change makers behind the camera as well.
Yes, and I think to that point, there's a feeling of authenticity that you often can sense when the folks behind the camera identify in some way with those that are in front of it. And so I think people are starting to see the value in that as well.
I know a lot of people we've been talking up to have been finding like these silver linings in all of this. Like, Colette, are you finding that you have more time to actually sit down and get to work on work you wanted to do before but can't do it?
That's actually very true. So of course, some people who are like in production, this is like very, very difficult times. But for us in post, this has sort of become the optimal time to watch all the footage that you've just like been putting off. So yes, I'm a documentary filmmaker, so there's a lot of footage to watch. It's been definitely useful for that.
Yeah, that's good. So what is on the horizon for you two ladies? Colette, you start.
All right. So for me, in the documentary world, I'm still like continuing my film and hoping to finish it by the end of this year. And in terms of Mezcla, our real goal now is to really be able to sustain into the future. We've been around for 3 years without really any funding. So now really like searching for foundation funding and grants and figuring out ways that we can expand as well beyond Chicago.
Ashley, how about you?
Well, I just want to quickly say Colette has an amazing film called Traces of Home. I just want to make sure that it's verbalized. And so I am finishing my first feature documentary called Unapologetic. As I mentioned, it's an intimate peek into the movement for Black lives in Chicago through the experiences of two young Black queer women. So I'm finishing that, and it is a journey, but we are prepping to premiere sometime in the late summer, which I can't say where yet, but yeah, I'm prepping for that stage, you know, of like getting the film out there and trying to distribute it and sell it and all those things. So unapologeticfilm.com if you want to follow along.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you guys do a lot of the production, the post-production with editing, shooting, of course, beforehand? And then are you guys kind of this one-woman band that does it all?
Well, luckily, the production was like complete for me middle of last year. So I wasn't anticipating this. I don't think anyone was this current moment for my film to come out. But yeah, luckily I was able to take care of all of that before the pandemic happened.
Did you have to pivot at all and add to it based on everything that's going on in the world?
I can't. It's just too much. I mean, we're certainly going to talk about the connections that the moments in 2015 and 2016 have, how those connect with this current moment. But like I said, I think there's a lot of room for storytellers right now, and I think a lot of great projects are going to emerge out of this moment. So I'm hoping it can just be a historical document that can start dialogues amongst different communities.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of opportunity, when I talk to a lot of filmmakers, actors, and things like that, there's this sentiment that there's more opportunity than ever for diverse creators to get their stuff out there because of the rise of things like Netflix, streaming services, YouTube, crowdfunding. Do you guys agree?
I definitely feel like there is a way bigger platform than there was before for a lot of different like marginalized voices that weren't there before. For example, right now I'm part of a fellowship that's with Hulu, and like Hulu is super open to like lifting up these underrepresented voices, which I had no idea. So I think it's definitely coming up, like as we see more content coming out, that's becoming a little bit more mainstream. That's like from people of color too, which is great to see.
Are you guys familiar with that new app, Quibi?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you guys?
They have great ad money.
What do you think about that? Because they seem to be supporting some of these. I don't want to say smaller to dampen it at all, but they seem to be really supporting some of these smaller productions. And then, of course, some of these shorter ones. What is it? 5 minutes is giving like episodes in 5 minutes.
Yes, it's very, at least from my understanding, it's very short form content. And I think that short form content is undervalued a lot in the industry as well. And there's taking on a feature or a longer piece is a huge feat. So for me, like empowering people to tell their short stories, it can be really pivotal. And it like a platform like Quibi that's more mainstream and you know, moving outside of like a festival online digital space, I think can give room for more diverse stories. And, you know, we're taking in so much content right now. So sometimes having that shorter form is really key to our sanity.
Yeah, it could be a snapshot into the future.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Let's get your information here. Mezcla Media Collective. There you go. You can look them up on Instagram. Of course, here's their website, mezclamediacollective.org. You should be looking for all the good stuff that they have coming up. They're working on some awesome projects. And just to get the voice of different kinds of people from different backgrounds, I think is so important, particularly right now.
Yeah, such an important time right now. Hey, also in honor of the Stonewall Uprising, each June Americans pay tribute to LGBTQ pride. And so in recognition of Pride Month, which is June, CW26 and Ankin Law Office are celebrating agents of change. And we want to hear you share your story. So use the hashtag share your pride Chicago and tag us CW26 Chicago. Send us your pride stories, your pictures to jamrealshy@wciu.com. We want to be highlighting all the great pride stories we can throughout the month of June.
It's so many great stories out there. It's inspiration, and it's just highlighting the human side of their journey. I think that most people, everyone should be able to relate to.
I totally agree. Totally agree. All right, let's move on to our next guests. I'm really excited to talk to Gabby Olson and Kristen Lampkin. The ladies have a series called Uncomfortable Conversations on Instagram, and it's a chance for women to talk to each other as women and learn more about their own cultures and diversities without having to worry about saying something wrong. Or,
right.
Making sure you're getting the word right. Yeah, just having the conversation instead of having to make it all, perfect. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
I think we're getting Kristen in still. We can't see her, but Kristen, if you can hear us, so you're in, you just need to turn your video on and your audio.
Hello, my video, it's saying that it's failed. Okay, there it goes. Maybe it'll let me come now.
Technology, it's a wonderful thing,
I
right?
know, and I tested this and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's not working now. We had somebody else had the same problem earlier today too. Well, you know what, Gabby, I'll start with you. Talk to me a little bit about how this started, how you guys decided to do this. I think it's a fabulous idea.
Well, thank you. Kristen and I have known each other about 15 years now, and she is someone that I value, I go to. We've been having these conversations already, since day one, since our friendship initiated, basically. And so I just found it so odd that her and I were able to have these conversations so easily and so fluidly without any sort of, hurt feelings or, no one felt like they were being attacked because we had a genuine friendship. And so we just kind of started talking about like, well, why is it so easy for us to discuss this? But then I see everyone on Facebook, going for the jugular to one another. And it's just this like lack of understanding, I think, on both sides. And we just thought, what if we just create a podcast and Instagram Live and we just sit down and we make an agenda and we just like go through it, talk about it. And I think it's so important right now that people realize that it is an uncomfortable conversation and that they be okay in having that uncomfortable conversation. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to be, checked every now and then. Like Kristen has checked me a couple of times with things that I've said, and I thanked her for it. I didn't react in a way that was aggressive or, felt like she was attacking me. And I think that's just such an important thing to be doing right now, especially when the door is wide open for these conversations. If we don't step through that door and sit down and talk to one another, this is going to repeat itself.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why you guys are so successful in that sense is because you're starting off with love. You guys are already friends. And so it's coming from a loving place if she's going to check. It looks like we are able to get Kristen in.
There she is.
There she is.
Wonderful. Thank you. Glad you made it. You can join this conversation.
Oh, gotta mute one. There you go. I think we're good now.
I think we're good now.
Good.
Yeah, we're just jumping into this conversation, and Gabby is explaining why and how you guys are able to have these awesome, tough conversations.
Yes. And like Gabby was just saying, that we've been having these conversations for over 15 years. She knows that she can come ask me anything. And one of the things I always like to share, what initiated us even talking about this and going deeper and wanting to share our series, is I was in a meeting at work and I saw my phone ringing and it said Gabby was calling. And I told my peer, I said, I know why Gabby's calling. This was right after George Floyd's killing. And I said, she's calling to acknowledge, she's calling to let me know she's going to advocate and educate. And she's letting me know that she wants to support me. When I called Gabby back, that's exactly what she said. And so I think it's important to understand that there are great allies out there. And she, we don't even like to use the word allies, which she'll explain later, but she's truly always been this way since day one, advocating for everyone, in equality, especially for the Black community.
And it's something that me and my friends have had a lot more conversation about due to what we're seeing in the news, what happened with George Floyd. America's kind of been awakened in a sense, right? But you stumble across, scroll through Facebook, and you realize maybe some people don't have the views you thought they had. How do you navigate starting that conversation? Do you just avoid it altogether, or how do you start that dialogue? Because it can be really intimidating.
So
yes. Go ahead, Gabby.
I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna punt it to you if you don't mind, because there was something I had to start that conversation by becoming aware that my reality is not her reality. And I kind of describe that by there's two different channels. And I think when something like George Floyd happens, white people are tuned into one channel, and then they actually have the privilege of being able to tune off that channel and continue on with their day. Not that they weren't affected, but Black people tune into their own channel as well. And not only do they have to see it, they have to feel it. And then they also see all the comments come in from all of these people from the swamp that just literally start flooding with comments that are just atrocious. And that's when it started to hit me like that. Who are these people who actually thinks this way? Wow, this is actually still, it was my own stupidity having to kind of drop that wall and see that other side that Kristen, and she has to read some of these things and then go to work and act like nothing happened, So being able to be aware that this is still happening and see it that was the first step for me.
Krista, did you want to respond as well?
Yes. For me, I am fortunate that I haven't had anyone on my timeline that I've had to address it with or block. So I guess that also talks a little bit about those that you surround yourself with and not even knowing that the awareness. So a lot of my timeline, I've gotten inboxes and people telling me that I'm here to support. This is not okay. What can I do? But I'll tell you, everyone's not that way, and I'm not naive to that at all. I've been a Black woman for 34 years, and have had several experiences. But for me, and me and Gabby had this conversation, I'm a woman that wants to educate, advocate, and bring awareness. Not everyone has that same perspective, because to be honest, Black people, we're tired. We're tired of it. This is not new to us. This is what we've lived. Is now being brought to the world because of a lot of the cameras, but some people are tired and they don't want to talk about it, and they're angry and they're sad. And I've gone through those emotions as well. So and I always say this, don't be alarmed if someone's like, go Google. Because Gabby says that, like, there's too many resources out there. So you don't have to go to all of your Black friends to say, hey, how do I find out about this? How can I educate myself? When you can go to Google and there's so many resources. But for me, I like to educate and bring awareness. That's how I use my voice. I always share. I'm not a protester, but I'm an educator and I'm an advocator. And so that is the way that I choose to use my voice when those things do come up, or when I do have to encounter a conversation that maybe someone doesn't share the same views and they have biases that I will correct.
I've been very lucky as a very young woman. I've always had really good Black girlfriends. And so they've allowed me to have these conversations, and really, like Gabby too, corrected me when I'm wrong. But because of our closeness, I didn't have to worry. I didn't edit myself. And I feel like so many white women and white people in general feel like they have to edit themselves when they're having conversations with Black people. And that, I think, is part of the biggest problem. And you guys said you don't like to use the word ally. So what word would you prefer to use?
Friend.
Yeah.
Human. The only reason I don't prefer that word is because the fact that it exists, like the fact that it's even a thing, is bad. You know what I'm saying? The fact that technically she needs a white ally right now, like that's it in itself is kind of a like, whoa. But this is something that Kristen and I had to be separated in a college level course because we talked too much. We actually stopped the class, made us stand up and sit on separate sides of the classroom. And we were just always drawn to one another. And if something is happening in her life, it's affecting her or affecting her family, that's just me wanting to step in because I love this person. And the fact that, I just think being a white ally is such a good thing, but it also should be part of your innate humanity.
A part of who you are. Are you guys nervous at all to have any of these conversations in public? It's one thing for you guys to talk amongst yourselves, but to put that on social media in the public atmosphere, what do you think?
So one thing I've shared with people is that there's no one else that I would ever do this with but Gabby. Gabby has built trust. Gabby has advocated. Gabby's not saying this is a trend. And she's very much understanding that she doesn't know what it's like to be a Black woman or a Black person, but she has empathy and sympathy. And so for me, I'm comfortable with the fact that she's going to be someone that I know is going to bring a perspective where she's not going to be naive. Is she going to be perfect? No. But I think that we have realized that these have to become normal conversations. And for both me and Gabby, we're not a people that just sit back and just watch and listen to others. We are the people that want to come and make a change and be the change. And so in order for us to do that, we're going to have uncomfortable conversations. We may not agree on everything, but we know that we have to normalize this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I just think that too many people have been holding their tongues for too long on both sides, frankly.
Yeah.
And, you know, do your research, support our Black men and women, but if you have a question, ask it.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're going to learn anything. And that's the only way any of us are going to evolve, right?
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
What
You know,
are
even in my work,
you guys tackle when you guys have the Instagram lives?
so it's our kickoff. It's going to be our first one tonight. And so we realized that we can't conquer everything in one setting. It's not even realistic, right? And so for us, we want to definitely have conversations that we've had with each other, and then also allow others to come to the table to discuss some of the conversations. So from talking about white privilege, from having conversations about diverse friendships, to talking about caring, dissecting caring. Okay.
That's my chapter.
And just talking about, you know, what the experience has been like for us. And one thing we recognize is just because this is Gabby and Kristen's experience, that's not the experience for everyone. I'm not the voice for all Black people. She's not the voice for all white people. But what we're speaking to is our experiences and our voices, and want to just bring awareness and education. So we're going to hit on several different topics, just the few that I named as well.
And you know, a lot of these conversations, I'm seeing them crop up more and more and more, and it's everywhere, even on ESPN, which has been so stoically stick to sports forever. Every day on their morning sports shows, they're talking about race right now. But racism has existed for more than 400 years.
Exactly.
What do you think has waken up people now to start these conversations?
I personally think the thing that's waking it up is that people visually are seeing it, right? You know, it's different than you hearing a story, maybe, or reading a story, but then when you visually see it, it hits differently. So many people that have reached out to me have even shared stories just about like visually seeing that. Like every time, like I was sharing with someone, like for the past 3 weeks, I've cried more than I've ever cried before. I mean, I have a son that's 22 months, you know, he's my Black boy joy, but there's going to come a point where he's no longer looked as a Black boy joy, but feared. Right. It's something that I have to think about. And so I think that people are truly seeing, and then now people are vocal. I mean, on social media, whether they're hiding behind something, but people are really seeing people's true colors, and it's allowing them to have conversations that they didn't have before, and making them realize, like, this is just not something that Black people have been saying, like you said, sir, for several years. This is something that we've been experiencing, and this is our reality. It's just now on camera.
How do you guys think we keep this momentum and move all of this forward?
That's such a good question. And I've actually been going back and forth in my mind about different ways. I know that the obvious and cliche answer is to vote, you know, to vote the people that you feel are going to represent you correctly. I also want to advocate through this Instagram Live that you start to expose yourself to minorities. You start to make friends, like get to know one another, sit down, have a beer, have a conversation, get to know each other on a level to where you are not so wrapped up in, you know, the thoughts that you have in your preconceived bias in them. Right. So I think if you just are able to have a conversation and get to know one another, I know that sounds like a kumbaya thing, but I really do believe in it. I feel like that's such a big part of being able to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. We want to get the Instagram information up on our screen so folks can tune in tonight. What time is it tonight? At 9 o'clock?
Yes.
9, yes.
Okay. On Instagram Live at Christina Lampkin, Chris and Gabby doing uncomfortable conversations. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Oh,
that's
so
so
sweet.
Fabulous.
Yeah, you can tell they're good friends.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the weather before we move on. A beautiful day today. Sun out there for most of the day. We might see a cloud or two, but it will be very few. Temperature high about 78 degrees today. I would say about a perfect day. And we've got several really nice days taking shape. before we have a series of storms that are going to hit us in time for the weekend. So really look to see nice sunny skies out there and increasing temperatures up and through Friday. Friday, the humidities are going to go up quite a bit, and overnight we're going to see some showers and thunderstorms. That's going to be the case on Saturday and Sunday, and actually starting into the work week next week as well. Fingers crossed that the timing is a little off and maybe this it holds out a little bit. So maybe we get one good day in on Saturday, but right now it looks like Saturday and Sunday are going to be pretty damp.
Yes, this is one time I'm hoping you're wrong, Amy.
I know, but it is still, a few days out. Enough things could change that it could maybe push off to Monday. Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Right.
All right, guys, so let's keep it moving here. Let's welcome in Bryce Bowman. He is with Chi-Town Football Outdoor Movie Theater, which is located in Pilsen. And they're doing some awesome things for the community, trying to bring everyone together safely. And of course, give everyone a little bit of a break in terms of what's going on and all the seriousness. Bryce, hi, thank you.
Hi, how are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good. So it looks like we are in Pilsen. Tell us where the movie theater is located.
That's right. We're at 2343 South Troop, right off of Cermak. The river right behind me here to the south. And yes, near the heart of Pilsen.
And tonight you'll be sharing Star Wars.
That's correct. Tonight will be the final night of Star Wars. We've been sold out. This will be our 5th sellout in a row.
Oh, wonderful. Wait, which episode?
We're doing A New Hope.
Oh,
Hey, the original.
yes.
The original.
That's the good one. I should say this: you can't let anybody in if they can't pronounce a street name you're on correctly.
It's Troop in Chicago. Yes.
It's true. Yeah.
Yes.
You got
Spelled Throop, but we say Troop.
Troop. You got quite the spread out there too. It looks like.
We do. Our, of course, world famous now tacos. Actually, this has been we've been in business 20 years inside Chi-Town Football, the building right behind the screen, and we now can make them and deliver them to your car during the movie. We've got the other favorites here with me as well.
Oh, nachos. I see hot wings.
Yes. Woo.
Yes. So our staff, some people might call these Mexican nachos, and then these American nachos. We just call these nachos. That's just nachos in Chi-Town Football in Pilsen. But yeah, and then traditional popcorn and candy like you might get at a theater.
Yeah. This is so cool because drive-in movie theaters are usually something you see in the suburbs.
That's right. So, because we have a quite massive facility indoor, we have 3 indoor soccer fields and then a 4th sort of party room, or we got a basketball court going in there. We have to have a large parking lot. So we've got a 250 to 300 spot parking lot. And actually, that's how this idea came about. Is we have space that other people don't have.
So I've never been to a drive-in movie before.
What?
Never.
Never?
I'm a city kid, and it just never happened for me. Just gone to always theaters. So what can I expect? I'm sure there's many others who they've never had this experience before.
Yeah, so I went once or twice as a kid in high school. I haven't really been myself in, I guess, 30 years. We're obviously trying to get around and make sure we're safe with following the Illinois Department of Public Health guidelines with coronavirus. And so if you remain in your car or wear a mask when you get out of your car to go to our restroom, one family at a time, it meets the public safety and health guidelines. So ironically, a thing of the past is now a way we can offer a great movie and a great night out with your friends and family, given what's going on in the world today.
Yeah.
This is such a great idea. And I feel like so many companies have opportunities that maybe they don't see. And I find it wonderful that you guys have seen something that you could keep yourself going and relevant and kind of help out the community and kind of changing gears.
That's exactly right. So we're used to having 400 or 500 customers a night. Again, a pretty large indoor facility, a parking lot that's pretty full. And then March 16th happened and we had 0 people. And then we had 0 people the next day and then 0. And we knew for some time we probably were not going to be having indoor sports. So for our staff, man, they've really rallied around this. We've repurposed referees and scorekeepers into parking lot attendants. We've got our kitchen staff, of course, back doing what they already knew how to do, which is making great food that is really well known to our customers and now to moviegoers. And so I'm proud to say we're actually coming up on 100% full staffing from what we had before coronavirus. And that is
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm curious to how audio is going to be run. The one that I went to as a kid, it was on the radio station.
Yeah. So guess what? FM radios are back. We might start selling them as a new business, but on your car radio, FM 89.9. That's how you hear our movie. It's actually a great sound quality. We're the proud owners of our very own FM transmitter here in our parking lot. So we have our own radio station, and that's how you listen to the movie.
That's awesome. So you've got Star Wars tonight, but sold out. What's coming up after that?
That's right. So Grease starts tomorrow night. We just opened that. Again, a little nostalgia there.
Yeah.
And with Star Wars being sold out, we again want to just say thanks to our customers and the community and everyone working hard. Grease. And then this weekend, we're showing Coco.
Oh.
Yeah. So good family movie, friends. That's already selling actually pretty rapidly as well. So get your tickets. Get your tickets soon.
That's a cute.
It makes me want to cry right now.
How much are tickets?
Yeah. So I apologize. You said, how do you get the tickets?
No, how much?
Oh, so $33 per car.
Oh,
that gets you 5 adults. If you're going to bring 8 or 10 in here, like, I did back in the day when I was in high school at the drive-in movie theater, we'll hit you $5 per additional adult. But if you have a large family, the 33 covers that. So it's $33 per vehicle, and you select your own space. So you might see the cones in our parking lot here. It's kind of like stadium seating. When you go online to ChiTownMovies.com, ChiTown movies.com, you'll select your space, and that's also where we know to find you to deliver your food during the movie.
Yeah, that's important.
That is important.
That's right.
Amy, are your kids old enough to sit through a movie?
Oh yeah, they love movies.
Oh.
Coco's a good idea then. That'd be good.
Yeah, absolutely. 'Cause just to get out of the house, right? The weather's beautiful. I mean,
that's right. We have a comment that our staff are your neighbors and our kids go to school with your kids. I live in the city. I've got 3 young kids. I didn't bring them opening night. I was a little nervous, and obviously our staff's working hard, kind of anxious, but I think it was 3 or 4 nights in, we brought our family. The kids were in the back of our car. We got blankets and pillows, and I'm telling you, it was awesome. It was just a great event.
You got to put those kids to work.
My 9-year-old is actually already being asked to help.
He's like, I did.
I want to make sure to make child labor laws here, right? You know what I mean? So.
It's your own kids, it doesn't count.
Hey, Bryce, I'm curious. Yeah, does anybody ever dress up? Do they dress up for Star Wars at all? Because I know when I was
last night we definitely had Princess Leia and Darth Vader in the house. And on our website, our marketing guy actually put a little catchy kind of video or animation of them in front of the screen. It's pretty cool.
So I have a question, and this might be kind of technical, but I know when you show movies like this, you have to get approval to show them. Are the movie companies being good to you because of the situation we're in right now?
Yeah, it's I use the word a grind a lot. I mean, it's like anything else in Chicago, right? We're battling. It is a grind, but I do have to say a special thanks to Disney, which now is the owner of the Lucas films, and allowing Star Wars to be our first movie. Yes, did require approvals and different rights and media rights and things like that. But in general, they've been really good, and a lot of their clientele at the regular movie theaters are shut down for the foreseeable future. So. Yeah.
I know, like Disney kind of got a little flack not too terribly long ago because a school used it without permission, and then they fined the school that was using it as a fundraiser. So it's nice to see that they maybe being a little nicer.
yeah, we've skirted 1 or 2 soft issues. Not necessarily from us, but from someone who reposted things, and they're definitely on the lookout. But hey, I want to respect their brands. I know that's their job, and in general. It's like anything. If you work with them and really try to meet their guidelines, they have been helpful. But they are strict, very strict.
Well, I'm sure you're still working through approvals and all that type of stuff. But are there any films you would love to see personally come up in the future?
Yeah. So one of the ones I think I might have saw it at a drive-in. I can't quite convince. I asked a few of my friends from high school, but Sandlot. We are a sports organization. Some great personalities in that. Benny the Jet, good sort of diverse personalities. And yeah, Sandlot is one that we're requesting approval for, hopefully in the upcoming following weeks. And then maybe Independence Day over the 4th of July holiday. These are all TBD. But yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. I would like the nachos with extra jalapenos, 2 boxes of popcorn, because me and my husband don't share.
You got it. You got it.
All the options. Oh, and it's candy.
Oh, and I'll just eat whatever Felicia doesn't take.
Well, save some wings for me, please.
Well, you know, we might have to just eat these right after this interview. I mean, we've gone through the trouble of bringing them out to the parking lot, so there might be an early airing tonight.
I mean, you can't let it
Come
go
on
to
out and
waste.
join us.
Is that ranch or blue cheese with the wings?
Ranch.
Well, that's ranch. So I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, and we do have blue cheese.
Who's ever holding a camera said ranch? Ranch.
Yeah, but you pay deduction for that, gentlemen. No.
Hey, Bryce, flats or drums? What do you prefer?
Flats.
Oh, I love flats.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you got
That's
us.
the right
We're
answer.
already there.
I'll take whatever everybody gives me.
Yeah. Well, you guys come on out and join us. We'd love to have you here. And we do really want to say a special thanks to our aldermen, the community, for all the support. I mean, this happened at lightning speed to get a business back on its feet, right? As you guys touched on. And nothing's easy, but man, our staff has just been awesome. And the customers are already supporting us in droves.
Yeah.
Well, that's
How big is that screen? You guys erected that.
Yeah,
real
so
quick.
you're looking at a 40-foot tall by 60-foot wide screen there. So to give you an idea, those banners on the left, Chi-Town Football, our indoor brand, and then now Chi-Town Movies for the movie, those are 10-foot tall banners.
Oh, wow.
So that gives you an idea. Yeah, you're looking at a nearly 3,000 square foot screen.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's not a bad seat in the house then.
There really isn't. You know, our parking lot, honestly, it is large, especially for the city. But it could be 2 to 3 times bigger and still be able to see it just fine.
Yeah.
And you guys don't have previews for the movie, right? So it's probably good to get there on time.
Yeah, go ahead and get there on time. We've got we actually in kind of in conjunction with A New Hope, the Star Wars thing, we did Chicago Hope, just some photos and a little video of the community, people working together. You know, it's all difficult out there, a lot of issues that need discussing, but it all centers around community. And I think in this environment where it's safe and you're coming to really get a couple hours of joy with your friends or family, it's a good opportunity to kind of say, hey, we know people are hurting outside of this, but we want you to feel good about being here with us, and we want all of Chicago to come to Pilsen and enjoy this.
Oh, that is wonderful. And on that note, Bryce, we're gonna make sure we're gonna get all the information up so people can come see the drive-in movies. Obviously not the first one because they're sold out, but check out the website, chitownfootball.com, and keep abreast of the upcoming movies down the road. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You got it. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all that you're doing. Bye-bye.
Yeah, this
Thanks,
is great.
guys.
Best of luck, guys. See, that is a cool way to keep your community involved and your employees employed and working.
Yes.
And if you still haven't seen Star Wars, like, come on.
Still haven't seen it or want to see it for the 100th time because it's
right. But that's a perfect pivot. That's 100% the perfect pivot. And a memory, like you said, Brandon, you hadn't been there. I think a lot of people who are from the city haven't been to a drive-in movie theater. So just a unique experience there.
You know, you drive to them. So if you live in the city, you drive to the drive-in. You have
Yeah.
cars.
What if you live in a city? A lot of people don't have cars in the city.
I know, but you two do.
Yeah.
I do not have a
We're
car.
good. We're good.
Oh, you don't?
I don't. So
I guess I did know that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't been to one since I was a kid. That was out in the burbs.
Yeah,
back in Ohio, they were in like the rural areas that you didn't want to go to. So
That's another story.
Not here. I mean, they're like, it's far for Felicia, but it's not like, in the middle of nowhere, I should say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
It's been a fun hour, guys.
leave that right there.
Been a fun hour. We'll be again at 2 p.m. We're going to talk some yoga, talk about a comedy drive-in show, which is a really creative way to kind of, entertain people, and some gifts for dads and grads. You can never forget Father's Day.
Yes. Dad, some love. All that coming up at 2 p.m., you guys. Make sure